Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead on Porch Time this morning. Oh guys, I'm going to tell you, I hate the time change. Oh, I wish they could just leave it alone. You know, it just irritates me to no end. We're an hour off. You know, it's dark in the evening. At 5 o'clock it's done got dark. You know, and then I don't know, it's just frustrating to me to have to try to get used to the time change all over again. We've had, it's extremely foggy this morning. This is our third foggy morning in a row. Stays foggy till about 10, 11 o'clock during the day. It's so foggy you can't even see. And, you know, they have an old wives' tale, or old folklore, whatever you want to call it. 3 foggy mornings and it'll rain. Well, we have rain scheduled for tomorrow. So maybe there's some truth to some of these things. I don't know. You know, on Porch Time today, I want to talk about a subject, and this is still ongoing from the gathering because I still keep getting a few questions, private messages and things. Why should I work if I don't have to? You know, and guys, there's a movement going on in our country today that is based on just that statement. Why should I work if I don't have to? We're raising an age of people in this country that believes in entitlement. And it seems to be running rampant. If you don't believe me, let the EBT machines not work and just see what I'm talking about. People go ballistic because they can't take care of themselves. They have no way. They're caught up in that mentality. Why should I work if I don't have to? Because somebody else is going to provide it for me. You know, and I worked in the workforce for, oh gosh, well, since I was 15 years old. I mean, basically, I own my own business since I was 15. So from 15 to my age of fixing to be 58 years old, that's how long I've been paying taxes. And when I went to get my disability 3 times turned down, every time on my paper it said I was disabled. But because I owned my own businesses, I could read blueprints, I could do things like that, the judges would not grant me my disability. But yet all that money I've paid in, somebody else has used it and I can't get it, you know. And I know people to this day that are young people in their 20s and 30s that have made the comment to me, why should I work if I don't have to? All you got to do is go and lie to them and tell them that you have some sort of a mental disorder and you can get your disability. And that's what they've done. And there's people out there everywhere getting money and don't have to work. We've raised an age of people that have learned how to work the system that was set up to take care of those who truly need it, and they have abused the system. And guys, this is a lot of people in our country. This is not just a few people. Wanda and I, when we go to town, we look at the number of vehicles that has a disabled tag on the back of them, and we look at those people when they're getting out and going in. And I know you can't just look at somebody, but guys, there's so many of them that's so young. They're not old people. They're young people that's laughing and carrying on, and you know, you see them sporting around with each other, and you know, maybe shadow boxing a little bit, all this kind of stuff, and getting paid to do nothing. Why should I work if I don't have to? And then you have people like us, I'm talking about you, I'm talking about me, that's out here trying to homestead, busting our butts to pay for what we've got, to own something, and to provide our own food so we don't have to depend on somebody. And yet, guys, you and me are looked at as if there's something wrong with us. Now, you tell me we don't live in a screwed up society when working means there's something wrong with you. Yeah. Everybody looks at you, especially, and I'm not criticizing the younger generation, because it's not their fault. It's our fault for allowing it to happen to them. It says, why should I work if I don't have to? I can get this, this, and this. There's so many programs out there, you know, and guys, I'm not down in the programs, okay? Because there are those that legitimately need those programs. I have a paralyzed brother that needs help, and 90% of the time can't even get it. I have a dad that's 80-something years old, almost, I mean, he's going for 90, and they wouldn't give him Medicaid. Can you believe that? The man paid in his whole life, owned his own business his whole life, and paid in, and they don't want to give him his Medicaid because he's not sick enough, or he owns something. Guys, I'm telling you, it's a wacky world. That's why I tell you, become self-sufficient, because that's where success is going to come from. Work your tail off to be self-sufficient. Get yourself out of debt so that you don't have to go fight the rat race of this world. Now, I'm going to turn this around. Why should I work if I don't have to on a public job? That's where I'm at. I don't have to work on a public job. First of all, because I can't. Secondly, because I've set my homestead up here to where I can be pretty self-sustaining here. Now, we do have to have some income. I mean, we have bills, don't get me wrong. I've bought a tractor now. I have to pay for a tractor. I've got land taxes. I've got insurances. I mean, there's all these things. And we have to spend, I don't know, Wanda and I spend probably $50 to $60 a month at the grocery store. You know, we have to do those things because we can't make salt. You know, it's things that we just can't do. And, you know, we could go off grid and not have an electric bill. But guys, as long as I can pay for electricity, I'm going to have electricity. Now, my cabin I'm building in the back, it's going to be off grid. Now, I hate to use that term off grid, because if you've got solar, you're not off grid. You've still got a grid of some kind. It's just not tied to a commercial grid system. Now, our ancestors knew what truly off grid was. They didn't have no solar, they didn't have no lights, they didn't have nothing. The only light they had was light a lantern. You know, now to me, that's off grid. But mine will be set up to, put it this way, my cabin will be modern off grid. Let's use that phrase, okay? That's probably a better phrase. But guys, at our gathering, you know, I asked who wants to live a simple life, and everybody in there raised their hands, you know, and I asked who thinks that they could achieve it. Probably half of the people in there raised their hands. And for those that didn't raise their hands, you know, I said, well, the reason that most people feel like they can't achieve it is because of debt. And guys, if we could ever get in our head, it was never intended for us as human beings to be in debt. You know, God just never intended for that to be. It's our society, it's the way we've been set up that, you know, that we're in debt. Now, if you go back and you look in the, I'm going to use the word Torah, God's law in the Bible, the nation of Israel, had a plan set up. God set a plan up for them that every 7 years, all debt was to be wiped clean. And every 50th year, which would be the year of Jubilee, or for those Hebrew, year of Yovel, all slaves were to be released. Any land that was put out for debt was to be released back to its original owners. And families could have their places back. You know, I mean, God intended for man never to be in debt for so long that his family would lose everything they ever had. It just wasn't in his plan to start with. And it seems like the system that we have set up now, I'll give you for instance, when I went to buy this tractor, because I hadn't been in debt for the past 2 years, they didn't want to loan me any money. I'll just be honest with you. It don't matter how many years and how many debts I had paid off and how big they were and how quick I had paid them off. That didn't mean anything to the man at the bank. He said, I need a 6-month history in the last 2 years. I told him, I don't believe in being in debt. And when I buy this tractor, if God's willing, I'm not going to be in debt with you that long. And finally, I guess I just worried the man down after going in there about 3 times. He eventually agreed to just let me borrow the money. I guess to shut me up. Because I believe in the old system. I don't believe in this modern junk that's out there. And guys, don't give up. When you go into these places, don't give up. Just keep going back. Keep going and going and going. There's ways to get around all this stuff. And that's what we did when we bought our tractor. Now, we're hoping to pay that thing off a little bit early. No, so we don't have to pay all this interest back. And see, that's what the banks don't want. They don't want you to pay it off early because the interest is where they make their money. But guys, why should I work if I don't have to? Why should you work if you don't have to? If you don't owe a debt, why should you have to go to a public job? If you can make a living on your homestead, why should you have to go to a job? Why can't you live your dream? Is there some law out there that says that Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so must go to a public job? There's no law out there that says that. Now, there's a system set up that's been indoctrinated into us that makes us believe that we have to do that. And when you go and you start buying washers and dryers, because see, our forefathers didn't have washers and dryers. They washed by hand and they hung their clothes on the line. Hot water heaters that runs our electric bills up. They didn't have hot water. They boiled it on a stove, and a wood stove. They had a wood stove. They didn't cook with electrical modern conveniences. They cooked on wood stove. They had wood. They didn't have electric bills because they didn't have no lights. They didn't have those debts. They didn't have a water bill. They had a well. They went and drew it by hand, brought it in the house. They were responsible people. Every afternoon they would go and they'd draw enough water to have it and leave it sitting in a bucket for the next morning. So they have water when they got up. They wouldn't have to go out in the dark to get water. They didn't have sewage bills. They had an outhouse. Guys, our forefathers did not have all the debt that we have. We claim in society that we have made life more convenient for ourselves, but all we've done is we've incorporated all these things into our life, which has forced us to go to a public job and work our tails off so many hours a day to afford these so-called conveniences. You stop and think about it. When you have to go to work, you got to buy clothes unless you work for a company that provides uniforms, and then they're still somebody providing your clothes. You got to have clothes. You got to have a car or truck. You got to have gas. You go there, you got to eat. Most people go out to eat. Then you got the trip home in the evenings. You got wear and tear on that vehicle. Guys, 9 times out of 10, when you figure all this in, you're working for pennies on the dollar to make some other guy rich and make his life easy when you're the one who's struggling trying to make an income. And my thing is, why should you do that if you don't have to do that? Work for yourself. That's what I did my whole life. I paid myself. I didn't pay the other man. Now granted, I understand everybody can't work for themselves. But you know what? Most homesteaders could work for themselves in some way or other. Now Wanda right now is doing a Great Depression cooking era thing. And guys, we're uncovering so much stuff that during that era of time we didn't even know about. You know, my mom and dad and grandparents told me a lot about that era, but there's things that they didn't tell me. You know, like Wanda was reading an article to me about the Hoover hogs. I'd never heard of a Hoover hog. A Hoover hog was a rabbit. People were so poor during that time that rabbit, you couldn't afford pork, so they called a rabbit a hog because Hoover had got us in such a mess that, you know, they called rabbits hogs, Hoover hogs. And I thought that was just amazing to find stuff out like that. And guys, the people who suffered during the Great Depression were not those who lived in the cities, believe it or not. It was the country people. We uncovered documents and diaries and stuff like that of farmers who the government stepped in, and the government told them, says, you got to quit producing food. We will subsidize you if you will quit producing so much food. Because the prices had gotten so low for food because there was such an ample supply of food that the government stepped in and they quit paying. They told farmers, quit producing so much food. They subsidized them. The first subsidy that I found was during that time. And it was amazing. They said, we've got to run the price of stuff back up because there's such a large quantity of everything till the price is just so low. Nobody's making any money. So we gotta quit producing so much so we can raise the prices back up on this stuff. And guys, look, that theory has not stopped. It's still going today. And I'll give you a for instance. You can watch the news today and there'll be a chicken scare come out. Oh my God, the chickens have got this kind of virus now. Don't eat the chickens. And they'll go in and they'll slaughter, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of chickens. And they'll tell you, switch over and eat pork. Pork's a lot more healthy for you till we get this thing under control. Well, they'll kill off all these chickens, and then because chicken price was real low, you can get chicken leg quarters for 19 cents a pound or something like that. And then all of a sudden, there's a shortage of chickens. Imagine that. We just killed all these chickens, and now there's a shortage. Well, guess what? The price of chicken's got to go back up. Something just happened to the hogs over there. Don't eat pork. We got a virus in them. Got to get rid of all this pork. They get rid of all the pork. Because pork was cheap during that time because there was an ample supply of it. But now, there's a shortage of pork because we just got rid of a bunch of it. And then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, guys, there's too many cows in this country. The price of beef is just going so low, farmers aren't making any money. We got to get rid of some of these cows, and some kind of disease hits the cows. Mad cow disease hits. Next thing you know, they're slaughtering off hundreds of thousands of cows. And then here a year or so ago, oh my gosh, we got less cows in the United States now than we did in the 1950s. And got 3 times the population. Oh my God, beef is going to go through the roof. Don't eat chicken, don't eat pork, eat beef. Help these farmers out. Guys, it's all a racket. It's just a system. It's a system that the agricultural system has set up to push their products. You know, there was a scare here a while back about eggs. Don't eat eggs. Oh my God, those things, there's a salmonella in all the eggs. Well, there's salmonella in every egg. But guys, there was a shortage of eggs. Eggs went up to $4 and $5 a dozen. I can go to the store right now, they ain't even $1 a dozen. They're like 80-something cents a dozen. One time I was in the store the other day, 85 or 89 cents a dozen for eggs, you know. Guys, it's all a racket. That's why I tell people, please raise your own stuff. Don't get caught up in this rat race in the world. Know where your food comes from. Guys, if you can't raise anything, go to your local farmer's market. Or call a friend that you know that raises stuff and offer to buy from them to help them out. If they own a little farm and you know that they have an abundance of stuff over there, people do that to us. You know, they'll call us every so often and go, Dandy, y'all still have any green beans, or you still got any corn, or you don't have any cornmeal or stuff like that? And if we've got some extra that we ain't using, we'll sell it. You know? We even have people tell us, I'll buy it if it's canned. I don't care. I just want something to know where it come from, to know that it's okay to eat. And if we have an abundance, you know, sometimes we'll break loose and we might sell a jar or two every now and then. But, guys, know where your food comes from. Don't depend on the man down the road to grow your food. Why should you work if you don't have to? You work because you go buy stuff from a grocery store when you don't have to. If you've got land and you've got health and you've got a way to get out and do something, you don't have to go to the grocery store. You can raise it. We do. It can be done. It's just that in our country, we have been told that we can't, that we need to depend on the system. And the reason we need to depend on the system, they tell us, is because we've got those people out there that can't provide for themselves, so we have to help them. There's nothing wrong with helping anybody. But there is something wrong with helping people who can help themselves and don't. So you see what I'm talking about? There's two ways to look at why should I work if I don't have to. The common way in this country is, like I said in the beginning, why should I work if the government's going to give me everything? I can get free money. I can have an extra child out of wedlock and get a check. It's happening every day. Or you can look at it like a homesteader looks at it. You can say, why should I work if I don't have to on a public job? Now, there's nobody that works harder than a homesteader. A true homesteader is the hardest working person out there on the face of the earth, because he's providing for himself. He's not depending on anybody. If he doesn't make it, he starves. So he is truly a hard working person. It's just that his work provides for himself, not for the man down the road who's going to be taking trips on a boat and yachts and vacations here and there and everything on his labor. Work for yourself. Provide for yourself. Guys, that's my theory in life. And I'm not going to keep going on here, but I think you get the gist of where I'm going. There's two different ways of looking at why should I work if I don't have to. Our country's going down the wrong road. It's looking at it as, why should I work if the government will give me everything? When they ought to be like homesteaders, saying, why should I work on a public job if I don't have to? I can provide for myself at home if I have land and a place to do it. Hope you've enjoyed Porch Time today, guys. Thank you for watching, and thank you, Deep South Homestead.